serious news here for a second.
America's latest mass shooting. Overnight, a fifth victim by the shooting inside a Kentucky bank. 8 others wounded.
The gunman, a bank employee, was killed in a shootout with police. Trevor Ault is in Louisville with the latest. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Robin. And officials have been praising police, their swift response. They say that absolutely saved lives. But even so, given the vicious nature of this attack, even with police officers inside this bank responding within minutes, still 5 people are dead and several others.
Yeah, they responded in 3 minutes, dude. And yet 5 people still died. How's that?
Others are fighting for their lives this morning.
This morning, new details emerging in the deadly Louisville bank rampage. Officials calling this an evil act of targeted violence. At 8:38 Monday morning, authorities say an Old National Bank employee arrived with a rifle, opening fire in a crowded conference room. The gunfire echoing through downtown streets, officers arriving in 3 minutes. Inside, bystanders locking themselves in bathrooms, even reportedly hiding inside the vault.
It was on the first floor in the back in the conference room area.
Bank employee Troy Haste says he hid in the break room, then sprinted out the front door.
We heard a click.
I think it's 5 now because the 5th person was a cop that arrived on scene who got shot in the head, who was in critical condition, and I believe he died as well. He was a new recruit.
Next to me turned around and said, "What the hell?" And then he just started shooting. Whoever's next to me got shot and hit bloods on me from it.
Authorities say officers exchanged gunfire with the suspect, quickly ending the rampage, killing the suspect.
Shots fired. Shots fired here.
But there were still more than a dozen casualties. Officials releasing the names of 5
I think ultimately this will maybe get people to come to terms with the reality that, like, cops can arrive on scene immediately. You can have armed personnel on scene immediately. But it still doesn't change the reality that if someone can easily go get a gun, if they're suicidal, if they want to fucking kill people, they're going to be able to get away with it. Okay? They're going to do it. They're going to still kill people. So what do? What do we fucking do? Legislation. That's it. Cops are doing their jobs. They did the right thing. They fucking rushed directly in the line of fire. Okay? I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the second goddamn time in the past month where I'm giving cops a W here, okay? They did the right thing. They're supposed to do exactly that. And they did it. And yet one of them died. And, 5 people total still fucking died. So what's up? It seems like our solutions to the problem of gun violence that Republicans basically dominate every kind of conversation on are ineffective. Seems like maybe there are other countries on the planet outside of America, newsflash, that have been able to figure this shit out. Oh, sorry. 5 killed, including the shooter. The cop's still alive. I was wrong.
victims killed. Jim Tutt, Josh Barrick, Juliana Farmer, Deanna Eckert, and Tommy Elliott, a close friend of Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear.
Tommy Elliott helped me build my law career, helped me become governor, gave me advice on being a good dad.
What are you going to do about it?
It's one of the people I talk to most in the world, and very rarely were we talking about my job.
2 police officers were also wounded, including Officer Nicholas Wilt, who graduated from the academy just 10 days prior. He was shot in the head and is now in critical condition after brain surgery. Police now also naming the gunman, 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon.
I know he's a Democrat. I know. He's a Democrat with a Republican state legislature. What is he going to do about it? Nothing. He can't do shit.
His LinkedIn profile shows he'd worked at the bank for several years, but sources...
Or you think I think Democrats actually have a fucking solution to this? They don't. They don't have nothing. They got nothing going on, dude. Also, why the fuck is this at 7:20 p.m.?
Tell ABC he was recently given notice he was going to be fired, and he left a note to his parents and friends indicating he planned to shoot up the bank. 2 former bank employees tell us they're devastated. They say they knew the shooter and described him as a friendly young man, and they saw no red flags.
It's mind-boggling to hear who did it.
They also describe Old National Bank as a great family atmosphere. Debbie Moore threw her old boss, Tommy Elliott, a surprise 62nd birthday party.
Now, he was very loved, and he'll be very missed. And hopefully we all see each other one day.
Overnight, the Louisville community holding a vigil for the victims. Mayor Craig Greenberg, who himself is already a survivor of a separate workplace shooting last year, vowing to work every hour, every day of his term to stop gun violence.
We have to take action. Today is a day for love and support to the victims, for supporting our officers and doctors and nurses who are the heroes and first responders. But this is life and death. And
the ER doctors literally said that because mass shootings happen so much, that they immediately knew how to do trauma response in this regard. Like at this point, it's basically like a separate field where, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, no, don't worry. Oh, we got another mass shooting. Come step right in. You know, we got it. Yeah, they're turning into like fucking combat medics, dude. It's crazy. They're like, we're prepared. Definition of insanity is how America handles gun control. Mass shooting is not even a code red anymore. It's so routine, man. You just got to learn how to fucking dodge bullets at this point, you know? Surprising, the Louisville Metro Police made it to the shooting instead of shooting random people like they normally do. Yeah, I mean, they do that on the side. That's the side hustle. Dude, at this point, you know, there's nothing. It just feels so silly. Oh, here's the one, of course, permanent aspect of like the coverage. Daily Beast wrote this article, of course. Breaking, 23-year-old Connor Sturgeon was a former varsity hoop star and finance grad turned banker who had reportedly been fired from his job in recent days. One former friend describes him as a popular kid in high school. It's always the same, bro. This is how the photos be looking at headlines when a white man kills his entire family. Like that Zach Fox a tweet is just permanent. It's like permanently stapled to my fucking mind. Just, hey, look at this sweet dude, bro. Look at him. He's so sick. You guys don't understand. In the courts, he was like crazy. There was also a part of that story, apparently, though, that at least I find interesting. Part of that fucking story was that he was so fucking concussed while playing basketball that like he had to wear a helmet or some shit. Look at this. Bro, you think that might be a factor? He says Sturgeon always wore a helmet during basketball games because he has suffered so many concussions. Maybe that's the big thing I keep going back to is that the first year of high school, we played football together in 8th grade. He was out most of the year because he had multiple concussions. Then he had a couple more in high school, he said. I'm not saying it's the cause, but I always think back to that. There were times I'd wonder, will this catch up to him? But never in this way. He's the last person I'd expect would do this. Just... I don't know how the fuck he got concussed so much playing basketball, which is wild, but the gender pronouns, right? Bro, that's the other part that's so stupid. The gender pronouns thing is so dumb. Everybody has gender pronouns, okay? And on LinkedIn, it's automatic. He didn't just like put his gender pronouns up there. He's not trans. He's just a dude. He's just a cishet white guy, just like literally the overwhelming majority of mass shooters, okay? The people, ironically, that were talking shit and saying, oh, it's the gender terrorists again. They're at it again. They have the same he, him pronouns on their LinkedIn accounts. It's so fucking stupid. It just like automatically places it on there, you idiot. Those are your pronouns. Pronouns aren't automatic on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. The fucking dudes that were shitting on him The dudes that were shitting on him also had the he, him pronouns. This basically, for the record, yeah, I mean, here, this is it. This is the fucking slam dunk. Colin Rugg, he, him, owner of Trending Politics. Oh my God, that's so crazy. It's like, bro, you understand that you're fucking advocating for like gender abolition, right? Like, you're doing the same thing that transvestigators do. Again, you failed like basic elementary grammar. And now, on top of that, you're making it everybody else's problem. But like, what you don't understand is like you're thinking that like everyone and anyone is trans now. You're like, oh man, everyone and anyone's trans. You're automatically you're doing the thing that I've been calling out for a couple years now, which is that the real mental illness is TERFs, is transphobia. It rots your fucking brain. It rots you down to the very core. It changes you as a person. And you literally start seeing trans people everywhere. Everywhere you go, you're like, is that person trans? Is this person trans? You start transvestigating. Ultimately, until you think, maybe I'm trans? Like, am I trans? Was I trans at an early age and I didn't even fucking know it? It's like brain rot, dude. It's so stupid. Leave it alone. Hey, I understand the racist component of the article, but don't you think there's something newsworthy about the fact that unlike most mass shooters, it seems like a lot of people knew this guy, were genuinely shocked? Are you kidding me? For every fucking mass shooter that like the FBI was like, we had him on our radar, there are mass shooters where you're like, what the fuck happened? We had no idea. I think you're just too focused on like seeing mass shooters recently. You have a recency bias there where you think like, wow, I can't believe that, we definitely knew that it was happening. We definitely knew it was inevitable to happen. For every story like that, there's plenty of fucking stories. There's probably even more stories where you're like, I didn't even know that this would happen. What the fuck? Yeah. They say that all the time. And what you need to understand is that it's not it's not a uncertainty. It is a certainty. Mass shootings are going to happen in the United States of America. They're basically treated like it's a fucking, it's basically like a natural disaster. It's a natural catastrophe that is supposed to happen. And in some respects it is. If you have this many guns, if you have more guns, than you have people in this country in circulation, you are guessing if it's mentally damaged? What do you mean? Fellas, is it trans to be obsessed with hating trans? No, that's not what I'm saying. People misunderstand me when I said that. I didn't say all transphobic people are trans. I'm saying that if you keep transvestigating and you think that like your fucking mom and dad might be trans, you're inevitably going to start thinking maybe you were trans without your knowledge, okay? The final stage of like losing your mind to that degree, and there are varying degrees of this, okay, is when you think like maybe I was trans at an early age before I started realizing that, I started becoming an adult, okay? It's like, yeah, it's transphobia-induced schizophrenia. The gender theory of having a total psychotic break, yeah. And the solution is really fucking simple. The solution is so simple. It's just literally don't be transphobic. Live and let live. That's it. I'm not even kidding, dude. You fucking get into this trans stuff, it's so scary. You just like go down this weird pipeline of like becoming more and more obsessed with what the fuck trans people are doing. And you end up, you know, screaming about Budweiser beers and all this other shit. And ultimately you become this like weirdo who thinks everyone is technically secretly trans. Okay? It's just crazy.
So as mayor, this will continue to be our #1 priority.
And the mayor pointed out that while officers were responding here to this mass shooting, they were called away to respond to a separate shooting incident less than 2 miles away where another person was killed by gun violence. Robin.
And Trevor, that I don't have to tell you or anybody else just what you said at the end there. The number of mass shootings in the country so far this year is simply staggering, Trevor.
Truly, it's something we're all aware of, but I mean, the numbers are almost impossible to grasp, Robin. This was the 15th mass shooting in America in the first 10 days of April. So far this year, we've had 146 mass shootings across the country. That is already a huge problem, but it's also worse than it was even last year. We've already had 20 more mass shootings than we had the same time last year, Robin.
All right.
All lives matter? What the fuck does that even... Why did you even bring that up?